Australians spend $60 million a year training our future military leaders at the Defence Force Academy in Canberra. That makes them, per head, the most expensive tertiary students in the country. Prior to the federal election, a parliamentary report recommended shutting down the academy, branding it elitist and a waste of money. The new coalition government, looking for billions of dollars in savings, has yet to respond to that report. Tonight, a rare insight into the operations of the academy through the wide eyes of new cadets facing a torturous sink or swim induction into the military ranks. Reporter Jill Colgan secured unprecedented access to ADFA for this report on an institution with an uncertain future.
It began as an idea in the 60s. A decade ago, it became reality. Army, Navy and Air Force officer cadets training side by side.
Look in!
Dogged by controversy, the complex cost more than $130 million. An arm of the University of New South Wales, it was billed as the most modern university campus of its time. An academy for the military elite.
The program that the Defence Academy runs for its future military leaders, I believe, is second to none.
Don't move over the conveyor belt until I give you the signal. Just wait in a group and relax. Thanks.
As young as 16, these cadets have signed up for a career in the forces, starting with 3 years at the Australian Defence Force Academy.
Move off now!
If they complete their degrees, it will cost Australian taxpayers more than $300,000 to put each of them through the academy. Can you understand the community wondering where the money's going?
Yes, I can, but I also think too that the civilian community also understands that if a conflict was to arise or in a time of tension like Cambodia or Somalia, then they can have faith and confidence that the Australian military will hold their place.
Do you know how much you normally weigh? Not today, you don't.
First, they'll face the toughest 6 weeks of their life, being inducted into the military way.
It was kind of a concoction of emotions. It's a bit confused, a bit scared, not so much worried, a little bit eager too.
I've heard that the academy is a very big challenge, but I've also heard that it's very enjoyable, and I'm hoping it's that.
If I can get through the 6 weeks, I'll survive anything. It'll be hard, but I think I can do it.
Very hard, and everybody will go to sleep crying tonight, so I'm going to force myself not to.
And what bones have you fractured?
In my right arm, I've broken both at the same time, and I did an elbow, and my left arm is twice, and they were all before the age of 10. So.
Unlike university, the next 3 years will be a test of many things: academic, physical, military, leadership, and emotional strength.
I, state your name.
I,
swear that I will serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Swear that I will serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Her heirs and successors according to law.
Her heirs and successors according to law.
As a member of the Australian Army.
As a member of the Australian Army.
Until my service is lawfully terminated.
Until my service is lawfully terminated.
And that I will resist her enemies.
And that I will resist her enemies.
And in all matters relating to my service.
And in all matters relating to my service.
I will faithfully discharge my duty according to law.
I will faithfully discharge my duties according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Nothing can prepare you for the next 3 years at the Defence Academy, particularly the next few weeks. It is nothing short of the biggest culture shock of your life.
So if you could start saying your farewells now, You'll move down.
For this 6 weeks, they'll be cloistered, unable to leave the grounds to see family or friends.
Alpha Squadron, 2 Division, Echo Squadron, 19 Division, Foxtrot Squadron, you're in 24 Division, you're in Charlie Squadron.
They'll get the best of everything: equipment, training and facilities at a price.
Just advise you to keep your mouth shut the first couple of hours and just do what they tell you.
You'll address me as sir for the time here, all right?
Mr. Miller, this is your room for the first year at the academy.
That's how your bed will be made for the rest of the year.
Okay. Look straight ahead. All right, don't look at the person we're talking to, just look straight ahead.
Okay.
So.
There is very much a hierarchical sort of order within the Defence Forces, and right from the beginning they need to understand that.
Rally, rally, rally.
Rally, rally, rally! Rally, rally, rally!
Mr. DeBoos, because he's just Miss Ravelli.
You just missed it.
Sorry, yeah.
You just missed it.
You've got 20 seconds, 19 kids.
Come on, first years, run. Let's see a bit of a sense of urgency. You're running late already.
Is there something wrong with that?
I see a bunch.
With me, ma'am?
No, with what time you're out here.
Yes, ma'am.
What's wrong with it, Mr. Turner?
We're 2 minutes late, ma'am.
I suggest that you take this as a lesson. Punctuality is extremely important in the military. I don't want this to happen again.
Be proud to be an Echo Squadron. It's a very, very proud squadron. It is from this point that your orientation shall begin. You've made a very poor start. Now switch on and give 100%.
Okay, what did I say to you this morning, first years? What did I ask you to do? Be a team? Didn't I? I said, make sure you have your div mates. Not only once this morning, but twice you've been late to where we've told you to be at a certain time. You haven't displayed teamwork at either of these times. Now, I want you to start switching on. I know it's your first morning. Start switching on and working as a team.
From day one, the discipline is merciless. The moulding into a team foremost. Every single facet of life will change, and they'll conform or fail.
There is a correct positioning for the counterpane. The bottom edge of this rectangle has to be along the bottom edge of the bed, and it has to be centred. So you count along the number of shapes to get it exactly centred.
It's not as if we're all just one big production line. We all need a certain conformity, a certain standard in which the military works and which we operate, so we know what to expect from each other given a wartime situation. We can depend on that and rely on that with confidence.
So you make sure that that crest is at the top.
The conformities we use is because of the job we have. We can't undertake the tasks we do without conforming to a certain extent, but conformity doesn't necessarily take away your individuality.
Put the working part forward. Front and shoulder, continue firing. Move forward, move stops.
Halfway through their induction. If they've joined the academy simply for an education and a guaranteed job, by now they've realised the military side of the equation. How do you feel about knowing what they're for, knowing that in fact you would be expected to use one?
Well, if I was expected to use one, I suppose it's either me or them, so I would use it.
Squad, action!
No other academy in the world has the military and academic makeup of ADFA.
If you were to go to a university and simply do your degree and then join your particular service, you wouldn't have that tri-service nature. And I think in the modern warfare that's been conducted in the world today, that you really need a tri-service attitude.
Get the arms up parallel to the ground. Push down on the thumbs, get the bends out of the elbows.
Critics point out the university option is far cheaper.
If we were being trained at a civilian university, it just doesn't instill the discipline and the morale and the esprit de corps that we have here that's needed in the environment and the jobs that we're going to do.
Lock the arms in! But it's quite true to say that many of them will never see active service.
But I think also too it's very true to say that many of them will. And I believe that in the future that perhaps that might be more likely. We have had graduates leave here and find themselves packing their bags for Somalia.
The pressure to fit the academy image is immense. Like military academies elsewhere, it's not been unknown for their peers to victimise, even push out, those individuals who don't fit that image.
Certainly there were some problems in the past, but we now have in place an extremely comprehensive education program. Now that program includes such things as unacceptable behaviour, living together in close communities, interpersonal relations.
Forward, catchwords! Take!
By the cadets' own accounts, there has been little or no harassment. Simply the pressure is on to be ready for the parade that will mark the end of this 6-week ordeal.
Everything's different. Way you eat, you can't compare it to anything in civilian life. Or at least not at my age anyways. Yeah.
How is it?
Hard. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I'm having a lot of trouble. I've always had a quick tongue, and it's just really hard to curb that, and it's really hard to keep my own attitude inside me.
Has that given you trouble to date, having a quick tongue?
Yes, I've got in trouble a few times, yes.
This is our third night with an hour-and-a-half session on these, and
they're just getting
that's
all we're not doing anything.
The sheer magnitude of the change in these cadets means they lean on each other to survive. It's a deliberate strategy that develops an ethos and a loyalty which continues well beyond their 3 years at the academy.
It's a kind of elitism, I guess. It's not, it's just that it's a very close-knit, tight group of people. It needs to be that, to be able to work together in the situations that our jobs may place us.
Tomorrow is the parade that will mark the end of their induction.
We get some leave tonight as well, which is good. Go home for a home-cooked meal. Mr. Booth, come in. Okay, you've been wearing your shoes around a bit, Mr. Booth?
Yes, I know it's high marsh.
This past week for all of us has been very, very hard. And the only thing that's kept us going is knowing that in 2 or 3 days or in however many hours it may be, we'll be seeing our families.
Why has this past week been so hard?
I think it's been hard purely because it hasn't been physically hard, it's just been emotionally very hard. We've copped a bit from the third years and constantly in trouble, and we're doing lots and lots of silly little things like getting timed when we're changing and things like that, and we've been placed under a lot of pressure.
Yes, I know it's high marsh.
Excuse me, please, that was high marsh!
Have you decided that this is for you?
For the time being, yeah, but because I'm just assuming that it's going to get better, which of course it will. If it doesn't get any better, no, that's it, I'm going home, but no, it will get better, I have no doubt about that.
1, 2, 3, 4, Adam, Cadet, go!
There are moments when the academy takes on the appearance of an expensive club for undergraduates. But the discipline and demands are unlike any university campus in the country.
It's when the time comes to the crunch, okay? It's when all that hard work finally pays off.
We've worked for it. Oh, believe me, we've worked for it, hours and hours of drill every day. But it sort of ties the whole 6 weeks together, and it shows that, yes, we have made it, and we're now joining the Corps of Officer Cadets.
The new federal government will have to decide what it wants from its defence force and how much it's prepared to pay.
I wonder if Peter Costello was watching with his calculator. Jill Colgan with that report. And now, the second coming of stodge, the renaissance of roast